Great. Well, welcome. This is the webinar, Healing Our Purpose Through Contributing Intentionally. I'm Meri McCoy-Thompson, Executive Director of Dovetail Learning and co-author of the We Are Resilient approach. And I'm just delighted to have you here today, especially it just feels so appropriate to be talking about this at this time. As I said, I love an interactive webinar, so feel free to ask questions. You can take yourself off mute anytime, just ask questions, or you can put them in the Q&A box, whatever works for you. And anyway, that's fantastic. Okay. And before we get any further, I just want to appreciate you for being you. I know that because you've signed up for this webinar today, you're interested in helping the world. And I just want to thank you for handling all the challenges that come up and taking care of the people around you and for caring. I know that it just makes such a difference. And a little bit a breathing before we start. I know we all have had so many things we're doing, so just take 2 deep breaths. Thank you for doing that. I know that breathing mindfully always calms me, and it calms everyone who's doing it. There's a lot of science behind that. And just doing that for 5 seconds can make us more calm, more collected, and being able to be the people we want to be. So thanks for doing that with me. Just a little bit about myself. I have 2 adult children who are now both married. My son just got married in December. I have spent a lot of time taking care of my elderly parents. My mother had Alzheimer's, and I've lived and worked all around the world, and always my focus has been on helping to empower others to live their best life. And I think the We Are Resilient approach is so spot on for doing that, which just so excites me about this work. What do we do at Dovetail Learning? We help people discover how to be the best possible versions of themselves through lots of skills and patterns and tips and tricks. And that's just wonderful, because I think all of us can always learn about more ways to do that. I was going to do a poll and I didn't, but had some tech issues before I start. So if you just want to put in your chat, how are you feeling right now? Are you overwhelmed, upset, excited, sad, depressed? Anything you want to give me in terms of your emotion right now would be great. While you're sharing your emotions in the chat, I just want to share that for me, I've been excited that I'm creating this webinar for you all, because often when I do a webinar, it's really about what do I need to teach me and what do I need to remind myself. So I just want to tell you, I'm on this journey with all of you as we try to become better versions of ourselves and how to figure out how we can contribute to the world in an effective way. So I've been mulling over this topic obviously for a while, but a lot of what I have to say is things that I'm telling myself as well as things that I'm reminding you. So just want to tell you I'm with you on this journey. So before we get any further, I just want to talk a little bit about resilience. Our approach is called We Are Resilient, and it really is the heart of what we do. I do want to share, thank you for sharing your emotions, doing okay, having filmed of being overwhelmed, and my mood is meh. Yeah, I totally get that. And I keep swinging into that place, and I am grateful. I also swing into that place, Karen. That's just an example of how our emotions go up and down all the time, and learning and thinking and spending some time paying attention to those can be so valuable for us. And so just acknowledging what we're feeling is we call it noticing myself, and it's a great resilience skill. So back to the definition of resilience. So resilience is the ability to adapt and respond to meet challenges effectively, right? We want to acknowledge our resilience will be higher or lower in different situations, and resilience helps us thrive in uncertainty. Our resilience can be practiced through the practice of specific skills. That's a key point, because so many people think like, oh, they were either born with resilience, or that's something somehow you just got by osmosis. Some of that might be true, but the reality is all of us can strengthen it, and with intention. And intention matters, and it works And that's the reason we're so excited about this. The other thing is, resilience is also the awareness, mindset, and skills to create the best version of ourselves and to contribute to our family, school, workplace, community, and world. And that's the reason we're focusing on the contribution part of resilience today, because resilience helps us contribute better. And when we contribute, we feel more resilient. It's this wonderful virtuous cycle that works so well for us. How does resilience help us? And everything from navigating stress, it helps us navigate challenges, as we said, but it also helps us feel calmer, set boundaries, be adaptable, listen more deeply, self-regulate, build a good life, be optimistic. All those things can matter, and they help us create the life we want and create the world we want. And that's the reason resilience is so important. So often we just think about it as, oh, it'll help us bounce back. But it actually helps create a foundation for everything else we're trying to do, everything we want. So much of what we want depends on the relationships we have in our life, and resilience helps us with those too, which is why it's so key. So helping our purpose, healing our purpose through contributing intentionally. Today we're going to look at two parts of that. The first one is doing what we can. The world is a big, messy place, and it feels even messier right now. And knowing that if we're doing what we can actually matters for us and for the world. So we're going to talk about that. And then also, the flip side of that is sometimes we need to be nurturing ourselves. Sometimes actually caring for ourselves is the best way we can contribute to the world. So we want to acknowledge the importance of that. Okay. So what is contributing and how does it help? Since that's a focus of the webinar, right? So contributing is actually one of the skills that we teach as part of group resilience. Group resilience is when we have a whole group and everyone is contributing to the best of their ability, and that's what helps the group achieve its goal, right? So that's what group resilience is. It's such an important part of our resilience because we know so much of our life is made up of the groups that we're in, whether it's everything informal like a family group, or whether it's a big structured corporation, or whether it's just the group that walks every day before school. There's all sorts of groups that we're in, some informal, some informal, but all of those can be strengthened using our collaborating skills. And contributing intentionally is one of our 5 contributing skills, collaborating skills, and that's what we're going to be focusing on today. So our tagline for contributing intentionally is, how do I improve the solution with my contribution, right? I love this picture because it's the picture taken of in the Amish country of people all building a wonderful building, a big building quickly because everyone's working together on just their little part. Somebody's nailing, somebody's lifting, but everybody doing their little part, everyone contributing intentionally makes the whole thing work, right? Oh, we don't see the picture. Oh my word. Thank you so much for telling me. I have not been sharing my slides. Honestly, it's one of my weak points. I get so excited about the material, I forget about sharing the photos. So thank you so much for that. Okay, now we're in the groove. Please let me know if other things are happening that I've done. Yeah. Okay. So back to contributing intentionally. I've been sharing slides all along. No wonder you guys are like, what? What is she talking about? Anyway, here we go. Groups have many informal roles, right? And when we're in a group, sometimes we're the opinion leader, maybe we're a counselor, maybe we're the Jill of all trades doing everything, maybe we're the switch hitter. We can do all sorts of different things. And all of these things can matter. And so we just want to acknowledge about that, right? So thank you for saying that, Jean, that it's okay to make mistakes. That's part of contributing. If we never make mistakes, we're not actually contributing. So I appreciate that kind sentiment. Okay. All right. And so when we're talking about contributing, be aware that it's not always just the leader and the followers, or that maybe the formal names that we have for at work, right? I am an X, I'm a, counselor, or I am a manager of 3 levels, or I am an advisor, whatever it is. Sometimes it's these informal roles, and they can matter just as much as our formal roles, right? And playing these roles matter. So when we're in a group, if we're always the one who are maybe seeking solutions, or often the ones that are asking for more information. Those roles are important. So when we think about how we can contribute and what we can do when we feel in these situations, understanding that the informal roles that we play are really important. And they actually, so thinking about that and what kind of roles that we can play make a big difference. Okay? The other thing I want to share about that in terms of contributing intentionally is it's so important. They've done a lot of studies about this, and sometimes people think like, I can't wait to get to retirement or till I have the whole day off. Some of these things, sometimes that's important for where we are in our state of life. But having too much free time actually undermines our sense of purpose as well. If we're not actually contributing to something or somewhere, we can feel lost and like we're not in a place that's working for us. And that's the reason it's important. Okay. We're going to dive into that a little bit, but first I'm going to just tell a small story. So as my mother had Alzheimer's, a lot of times the thing that we could do together is we could just go on a slow walk, and we walked 1 block or maybe a block and a half, and it would take an hour, right? And I would do this with her. I live about a half an hour away, so I would do it with her several times a month. And I would just go down and we would go on a walk. And it was an interesting meditation on contributing, right? Because on some ways I would be like, okay, I have to slow my life down so much to take this walk with my mom. But I was doing it because I knew I was contributing to her well-being. She loved to be outside. Together we could experience everything from like just a little leaf or maybe one more step down the sidewalk, one little flower growing. And of course, it was always the same scenery because I'm walking the same block and a half every single time I walk for 7 years or more, right? And I was like, okay, I'm doing this because I'm contributing to my mom. But upon reflection, my mother is also contributing to me because she's contributing to my ability to be mindful, to sit with the other people, to take things very slow, to reflect on the importance of the air and the sky and the other things that were happening around us, as well as our relationship. So sometimes when we are contributing intentionally, sometimes we think about it has to be really big things. And I just want to remind us that sometimes contributing is a small thing, and a small thing we can give each other. And it's really key and important. So by just being with each other, spending time with each other, even doing small, slow things like this walk I took with my mom, she's contributing to me and my well-being, and I'm contributing to her. So I want to just say that as something to reflect on. What are the benefits of contributing intentionally? Well, it meets our fundamental needs, right? It meets our needs for productive and being engaged by doing tasks, right? We actually, human beings, are wired to want to be productive, to want to do things. So in this walk with my mother, like I want to get a lot of things done. All I'm doing is the walk, but it helps me say, okay, I am doing the walk, and maybe that's the task I need to be doing today. It also helps our fundamental need for purpose and fulfillment. And I think that's what was calling me for this skill and talking about this skill today. It helps us be connected to a larger mission and belonging. And all of us have this need. And one of the things that I find, at least for myself, is sometimes I get so caught up in doing, number one, and tasks, etc., that I forget about other people's need for contributing intentionally. How can they contribute, right? So when I'm walking with my mother, I can acknowledge, Mom, thank you for taking me on this walk today, because then I'm giving her a sense like she's actually getting something done. She's being productive and engaged by helping me. She's being connected to a larger mission and belonging. Sometimes we can take over other people's work. Oh, I'm going to help them without sort of asking if that's what they want. And then they don't get the sense of being needed, being productive and engaged and having purpose and fulfillment. So something to think about. That's particularly true when we have kids, right? This is just a picture of us when we're having fun with our kids, baking cookies. And it's so easy in that situation, like many situations, like, let me just help you, because it's so painful to watch children do things so slow, or they don't know how to tie their shoes or whatever. It's so easy to want to do things for other people in all situations when we think we can do it better or faster. And then we're taking away their ability to feel like they're contributing intentionally, whether it's small things like helping making a 3-year-old taking silverware to the table. Like I know, especially with my nieces and nephews, I was like, okay, what we're going to set the table and helping them do it rather than myself, so they can feel like they're part of the group of our family, and it's important that they learn how to do basic skills. The bottom line is we all need to be needed, and contributing intentionally is what helps us feel that purpose and feel that we're needed in the world, right? So that's one of the key things about it. I love this quote from Dr. Estes. Ours is not the task of fixing the entire world at once, but stretching out to mend that part of the world that's within our reach. It's a key part. It's not just stretching. It's not just doing the things we can see right away, but it's stretching out. Sometimes we have to look a little further. What else can I do beyond my horizon, right? What is needed for dramatic change is an accumulation of acts, adding more, continuing. We know that it does not take everyone on earth to bring justice and peace, but only a small determined group who will not give up during the first, second, or 100th gale. That's also an important part. When we are contributing, we have to do it at a level that we know we can keep going. So we're also not called to contribute so much that we burn out and don't have anything left, right? We're called to contribute at a level that we can sustain and what that requires, right? And that's what can be so beautiful. When we do what we can, it heals the world and it also heals us. That's the important part here, right? Now, sometimes that's just sending positive energy, prayer, smiles, whatever you call it. I know when I bike around the park, I like to smile at everyone and say hello to people as I pass by. Sometimes I know that might be the only smile that they get, right? At the grocery store, at the cashier, a little chat with someone, it can give you so much. Of course, where we can, we're called to donate our resources, whether it's money or other resources, so that we can ensure the good work is happening in the world. But of course, the most difficult and most important thing is that we also give our time, right? Whether it's to our neighbors, our friends, people we meet randomly, organizations that we're a part of, nonprofits. Giving people time, the most important sacred part of ourselves, is really contributing intentionally, whether it's, I can help you with this, what do you need here? I know I had a friend who was sick and I'm like, what can I do to help? Honestly, knowing my schedule was so full, but if I did not ask, if I did not give my time, what kind of friend was I going to be? It was really important that we do this. Always, how can we share our time with people in a way that works for us, right? So that's how we contribute intentionally. That's how we heal the world and how it heals us. My sister-in-law is a great example of this, right? So she's a high-powered lawyer, has a really big job, but she was getting really burned out. And she started beading. I don't know how she discovered it, but she loves it. And it's so soothing for her, and it's so fun to be creative with her beading projects. And this is just an example of some of these. But what I loved about it is so many of us do craft projects or maybe other kind of creative projects, and then it's like, okay, it sort of ends there. I have a pile of beaded things in my closet and I don't know what to do with. She got connected to a women's shelter and she was donating other things, and she said, would you like some of my creations? And they're like, yes. So she donated some of her creations, and then the very brilliant activities director said, wow, we're not going to just give these to the women here. We're going to have them as part of prizes for games that we play together. And we're also going to have our staff wear them. So there's a buzz around how beautiful they are. And then people kind of want them even more. And there's a lot of excitement built up around these things. So that's what she does every month. She brings new beaded prizes to them, and they share them, and they wear them, and they win them in their activities, and it just builds so much joy in the center to know that this woman, my sister-in-law, is doing this for them, right? So it's a way to give the people at this who have experienced intimate partner violence and are trying to get their life on track, something fun and joyful to do together. And it's just an example of how small contributions, and then she stretched out, as Dr. Estes talked about, how can I go a little further with this contribution that I want to do? How can I take it a little further? And it's a total activity that heals her and heals them at the same time. How beautiful is that, right? So again, what are the benefits of contributing intentionally? It meets our fundamental needs, as I said, for purpose and belonging and being productive. But it also helps a group achieve its goal, right? When we're contributing the best way we can, that's how we achieve what we need to do. And that's how we create the world we need. I know the world can be very messy and overwhelming, and it certainly is now. But thinking about how we can each contribute our little bit of it is what's important, okay? I want you to think of yourself as a change agent, right? You're just doing a few things. Maybe those few things involve being organized with other people. I love this quote, don't agonize, organize, because to me, I get a lot of fulfillment when I'm working together with groups. So I was on a call the other day about an issue in the world that is disturbing a lot of us, and there were 20,000 people on the Zoom call. That gave me so much energy because I like, wow, we are all concerned about this together. We are going to organize and get something done because we're working together, right? Not everybody's that way, but if you want to be connected to others, there's many people who are organizing for change in the world in all sorts of different ways. You don't have to be the one that organizes. You can be the one that joins and does your specific contribution for that. So if you're feeling kind of lost and overwhelmed, I encourage you to find some groups that are doing the work that you want to do in the world and just contribute something intentionally at some point. As I say here, do something. That's how we create what is possible. And just a reminder that all social transformation requires personal transformation, which is really hard, and we don't really want to do it. We really want the work to be done out there, and we don't want the work to be done out in here. And I just want to remind us that we need to do that work as well, because our presence is the most healing thing we can contribute to the world. And we heal people through compassion, understanding, and trust. And I just want to remind us of that, right? So obviously the research shows a lot. We develop key pro-social skills when we're encouraged to take the initiative and contribute to shared mutual responsibilities. As I was saying, this is key for children or other people we work on. And then the informal roles that we were talking about. All the work we do at Dovetail Learning is backed by a lot of research. So just micro practice, as I'm going to encourage you to do, is imagine how you might contribute to your group. Use your courage mindset to offer your own ideas, and invite others to invent ways of contributing that help they feel like they are contributing and belong. When you're part of a group and maybe someone's not really playing their role or doing something, like think about together how you might help them contribute. We want to improve the solution with our contribution. The last part of this, I just want to remind us that we have to center ourselves to do this work well. We have to feel centered, right? So that's the hardest work of all. We teach a lot of centering skills at Dovetail Learning around personal resilience and how to do that. We know the powering of centering, it reduces our stress, improves our well-being. But the important thing here is that we work more effectively, so our contribution needs us to be centered, right? And then we can connect and collaborate better. And it improves our relationships. So we're going to talk briefly about one skill here, and that's nurturing myself, right? I said kind of the flip side of contributing intentionally is being able to nurture ourselves along the way. So I'm not saying go out and do so much all the time, but have a balance. We know the writer in Elephant here tells us that our emotions matter a lot. And if we're not doing the kind of nurturing that helps our emotions, then we're not going to make the difference that we need in the world. So for better health, I nurture myself. Now that is everything from our body, our emotions, our mind, and our spirit. The self-compassion that we need, and nurturing our sense of joy. Self-care is not selfish. It's an essential first step in an individual, family, or community's journey to healing. When we see so much division, so many things that are happening in the world, how can we heal the world? We have to heal ourselves, right? Have to do the self-care. Find a few moments to give empathy for ourselves if we are feeling overwhelmed or kind of meh, right? And then choosing one to focus, choosing one part of nurturing myself to focus on. Like, is it nutrition, sleep? Do you need maybe more play? I find a lot of times I need more play in my life because I tend to be so focused on contributing, I forget that play is when I need to energize myself. What kind of emotional self-care do I need? Do I need time or space? Maybe I need to laugh. A lot of times I just need to laugh. A funny show on TV is really good for me, for nurturing myself. And maybe I need social time to really feel that connection, a sense of belonging, or to tap into my spiritual needs for purpose and meaning. That's where contributing intentionally can come in. Nurturing myself is really about loving ourselves. So what are the things we can do to love ourselves that are really key there, right? Again, if you have any questions about this, please drop them in, or comments. Come off mute and share your thoughts. We've talked about doing what we can in terms of contributing intentionally and practicing our resilience skills. So any thoughts, questions, I'd love to hear them. And also, for those of you who aren't familiar with the We Are Resilient approach, it's a conceptual framework that we have in our head, and so we understand a lot of pieces, but it's also ways to integrate it into our lived experience, as this webinar showed. Gives us concrete tips. What are the things we can do? So what do we want you to take away here? It's important that we contribute intentionally and that we help others contribute, and then we also nurture ourselves along the way. Just choose one or two things that you're going to do so you can lean into that, right? Also, a reminder, this is part of the real resilient approach. We have the 3 mindsets that help us. We have 2 sets of patterns and 3 buckets of skills. And we talk about, there's a lot of videos on our YouTube channel if you're interested in learning more. And we also have online courses. We have books, The Heart of Resilience, so many ways you can learn about our approach, right? Our mindsets guide us in using the patterns and skills, and our skills are how we create our world. As I said, the resources, all of our training materials are open education resources, so you can take them, adapt them for use in your own community and use them. We have a book, The Heart of Resilience, that is a good way if you're not familiar, or even if you are and you want a deeper dive into the approach. There's so many things you can learn about that. Online courses you can take in-person, synchronistic or asynchronistic at your own pace. So you can sign up for those as well, and video learning and digital downloads. And you can always reach me at mary@dovetaillearning.org. So that's the end of our formal presentation. I'm just going to stop it. And again, if you want to come off mute, ask any questions, any comments, I would love to have more of a dialogue. So I've given you a lot. Anything anybody else want to have? And I think I'm going to stop the recording just in case people want to come on.